Hello everyone. I would like to show you a proposal for a new series. As you know, I have talked about me doing a Florida Valley Railway series. Basically, Thomas-style stories, but with the model trains I get over time. Well, since I can't really make my own headcanon series until I'm well into my adulthood, I thought in the meantime I could use Blue Train with Friends to make a pseudo headcanon, basically just getting as close as I can with it. In fact, it was in the making of this bit that I kind of got some great ideas. So we're going to go one by one with all the engines. First up is Thomas, and as you can see, he has the black running board and the red wheel rims. Thomas, in my headcanon, is the LBSCR's 108E2, who was sold to the Northwestern Railway, as they did with most of their engines to many different industries and smaller and other railways. 106, 107, 109, and 110 would all be taken back by the Southern Railway, except for Thomas, who is prime ownership of the LNER in whenever they go back to Southampton. Edward's the next engine. My headcanon for him is that he's just one of the many Fern SK2s. Worked for a few years outside of Sodor. Yeah, preferably one of the earlier ones, just so we can say he's older. And the only real difference here is that the different tender livery and design, just for the case that I think it looks nicer. Next is Henry, who you really just put back into his old shape. My headcanon for him is that he is one of the many failed iterations, I should say, of the A1s. And and of course there was that great engineer heist that where the builder got his plans and built him, and then just immediately sold him off for scrapping. The scrapper felt bad, did some unethical things to sell him to the Northwestern, and after a while he became this great engine. He would mostly stick to goods trains. Gordon, in my headcanon, I'm actually not sure if I'll do the smoke reflectors, but in this I think it looks nice, so yes. In my headcanon for Gordon, he's just straight up an A1. One of the early ones, definitely, but not really the first one or the A0s. He will not have this sloped footplate. He'll have the stepped one. Unlike in every other headcanon, where he was rebuilt at Crewe, I'm gonna have him rebuilt at Doncaster, where he reunites with Flying Scotsman for the first time, just before all his brothers get scrapped in the 40s, most likely. Next we have Winston. Yeah, I'm bringing Winston back. He's basically going to be a loan to owned LMYR Class 28 with the extended buffer beam and boiler. He was actually the first of the two, so slightly older than James, and the only difference is that he has the red engine's tender. Speaking of the red engine, we have Sir Alec Greedy. He's basically just going to be he's just going to be one of the many engines the LNER sent to the Northwestern in 1924. Same with Gordon and all of them, because they would get absorbed into the LNER in 1923. In my headcanon, Sir Alec Greedy is a Great Central 460. I can't remember the class. It was like a C-53, I think. I don't know. I'll probably correct myself. Lane, in my headcanon, is a chopper tank. And he basically was just the shunter at Vickerstown to help marshal trains for LMS engines, because the LMS would be the one to operate the Normanby branch and later BR, of course. We have Dudley next. Dudley is, again, one of the many engines sent by the LNER to just help Sodor out in 1923. My thing for him is that he was on Sodor in the 20s and into the early 30s until he was loaned out by his old branch line. where he basically would be forced to stay there until his grandson, because he was on his branch line before, and then he went to Sodor, and then he went back to his son. He was pretty son, and then the grandson was like, "Yo, my dad made a mistake. You were supposed to go to the NWR back in the 50s," and he's super mad because like Jeffries got to go, but he didn't. So when he goes back, he does a bunch of revenge stuff against Jeffries and Bear, and then he's found out, sent away for another year or two, and then comes back because they do need a goods engine. Next, we have 87546. I'll get back to this guy in a minute. Or Croven. In my headcanon, he is an NBR H-Class Atlantic. He had a horrific accident in the... in Lord knows when. I don't know, again. My headcanon is very unorganized and unfinished, so give me time. But yeah, he was basically just bought by Sodor at the same time as Henry and Alfred. So just before they became absorbed into the LNER. Speaking of Alfred, we have 98462. In this, by the way, both of these guys are going to be very nice. They're not going to be super mean. Alfred, I'm considering it, kind of like how I did in my original headcanon, because I'm doing a redo of it into something more similar to Tugs and the stories of Sodor. But we'll see. In this, basically, again, he's just a much nicer character. He's pretty chill. And, yeah, that's really it, honestly. Nothing much to talk about these two. Glasgow, however, this is going to be a fun one. Basically, if you haven't seen, like, Super Mario Studios, I think, they made us an animation or trains video of an engine called the Bad Engine. He wasn't named, he was simply called the Bad Engine. And that's what Glasgow is. Custom built using like a mix of engine parts from all over Britain. They don't stick together well. He's had a lot of psychotic problems. And he kills Gordon's passengers. Yeah. He's sent away to be scrapped. The scrapper feels bad. He sells him to the LNER, where he would reunite with Dudley after getting through many psychiatric and psychotic breakthroughs when it comes to non-faceless vehicles. And after getting treated and all the proper therapy, he goes to the branch line Dudley is working on. They would meet each other very early on, but wouldn't speak, and then they became friends. Then he would leave along with Jeffries, and Dudley's like, "What the frick?" And then, of course, he has his whole Jeffries and Bear arc, and yeah. So that is my idea. What do y'all think? Put me in the comments what you think of this series. I don't really know what I'll do with it. Maybe I'll just do random, like, tidbits with it and slowly grow it into an actual series. But yeah. Thank you all for watching, and have a good one.